When you think about December, what comes to your mind when you think about December?
Christmas parties.
Christmas parties, and there are a lot of those in there. We could probably go to a Christmas party every night of December if we wanted to. What else comes to your mind? Craziness.
Goals for 2018.
Okay, goals. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I think December is a natural time of reflection. The word January, if you ever study the word, came from a Greek goddess named Janus. And she had one head that looked forward to the future and one head that looked back on the past. So she could reflect on the past and look forward to the future. January is a natural transition period for people. Right? Here's the sad part. Most people will make the same New Year's resolution up to 9 different times in their life. So I want you to think about 2018 like this. A lot of people believe, and this is an inaccurate thought pattern from my perspective, that next year will only be a slight modification of this year. Like a lot of people think, like I'll come into next year and I will be a little bit better than I was this year. It's just a slight change. They can't get their mind around, well, what if I could grow 100% next year, right? Like the girl who wrote the book Girl Boss, the reason she became so popular so fast is because her business was growing at a 10,000% clip. You see what I'm saying? So, but for a person to grow like that, what first has to happen?
Gotta have a team.
You know, one of my goals is to grow 100% year over year. Is it possible to grow 100% year over year? Absolutely. But if you go into it saying, well, I'm going to do a few more deals next year than I did this year, you're really just asking for a slight modification. Now, if you don't want to grow that much, because a lot of people actually associate growth as a negative. So what do they start saying? What does their mind start saying when they start thinking about growth?
More work.
Oh yeah, if I grow more, I'll have to work a whole lot more. And I don't want to work a whole lot more. Could it be possible that you could actually do more but work less? Most of the big mortgage originators that we coach tell you that as their volume grows, they actually decrease the amount of work, decrease the time they work. We've got mortgage originators working 40 hours a week, doing $75 million of production, and they're actually working less today than they did when they were doing 10 or 15 million. They've gotten better. They've gotten smarter. They've gotten more effective with their time. You know, they're not working harder or longer. They're actually just real effective when they're in there working. Okay? So when you think about December, I want you to think of this. I don't want you to have a slight modification next year over this year. I want you to start thinking of how do I get my mind around a significant increase in my business next year. But what do I know is that if you come back next year and do the exact same thing you did this year, it won't be a significant increase. It'll just be a little bit more of the same. So today we're going to do two things. We're going to look at your business, and I'm going to actually let you work on a few of the concepts. And then we're going to kind of move into how to have the biggest year you've ever had in your life. And it's typically strategy changes. Okay? Now, for the agents that's lazy, that's just not making the prospect calls or not doing what they need to be, some of you may say, look, I just need to commit to prospecting every day because that's one thing I don't do. I just need to commit to following up 7 touches because I'm not following up 7 touches. I just need to commit to get around more people because I'm not going through enough people right now, which is what we talked about last month. There may be small changes that you need to make in strategy. So think about it this way. A good plastic surgeon never makes more than 2.2 millimeters of change, and they never make more than 7 changes. They're small tweaks. So think of small hinges that turn a big door. And, you know, when I was a coach, I would get to the same point every year. Think about your business. You were dynamic for a period, and then you got static. What would that look like? It's just a ceiling, right? You're doing the same number of deals year over year, whatever that number is. You're making the same amount of money, and there's something you haven't quite figured out to go to that next level yet. Well, as a coach, I would go a certain path every year, and I would get to the same place and get beat by the same person. And it was incredibly frustrating because then I would go home mad, frustrated, blame everybody, do the whole song and dance that everybody does when they don't get the results they want. And then I'd come back the next year and do what? Yeah, I'd do it all over again. But I actually believed I could work my way out of this problem. So if you're very competitive like I am, I actually thought I'll just come in and work harder and we'll win next year. But that wasn't my problem. We were working hard. My problem was my strategy. So I do this for 6 years. This is how stubborn I was. I do this for 6 years until I finally say, look, why don't I just sit down with other people who have done what I would like to do? It's like you doing 2 or 3 deals a month in real estate. Why don't you sit down for lunch one day with a person doing 6 deals a month and say, what are you doing, Christy, that I'm not doing? Right? Now, if she's going to be able to tell, and you know how easy it'll be for her to tell me that? It'll be like, hey, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. Now, the question will be what? Will you go do what she tells you? If she says, look, I prospect every day for 2 hours, I'm on this number of boards, I've talked to 1,000 people a week, I do a bunch of things I don't want to do. Now the question is, will you go do what she's telling you to do? Depends on how bad you want to go from doing 3 deals a month to 6 deals a month, right? So I sat down with 6 coaches who had done what I wanted to do, which was win a championship. Here's what the first thing they said to me. They said, you're not playing a tough enough schedule. So you're actually playing weaker teams. You're beating those teams only to play better competition and get beat because you are not battle tested. Like your players are not tough enough because of your weak schedule, right? And one of them even said this, you're more interested in winning games than winning championships. And that was tough to hear, right? He was like, well, you want to strut around and tell everybody you won 20 games, but you beat 20 bad teams. He said, if you want to get to where I'm at, you need to go back and change your schedule and play the toughest people you can play. In Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, anyway, you go wherever you have to go to play the best. Because when you play the best, what's going to happen? You're going to get better. And here's what he said, you're going to lose some of those games. But when you get in big games, your players are going to be ready. And he was so right. So I went back and I changed my strategy. And I scheduled the best teams, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, right? If I put you around the top real estate agents in Tennessee and you worked right beside of them every single day and they forced you to get better, there would be days you go home and you're like, man, this is crazy. But look at how much better you get because you have to do what? Play up. You can't play down. You're around better people than you, right? So I went back and changed my strategy. He was right. We did lose some of those games. But when we got in big games at the end of the year, Chris, you know what happened? We were ready. We were battle tested. My players were like, hey, it's not a big deal, man. We've been in big games like this. So that's a strategy change. Did we work any harder when we won the championship than the years we not? No. We still came in early. There was nothing about our work ethic that was wrong. We were just doing the wrong things. It's like a real estate agent that will get in here and make calls for a couple of hours, but they don't have anything to say. They can't pivot. They can't ask the right questions. They haven't worked skilled up every day. You follow me here? So what does it matter how hard you work if you head in the wrong direction? Right? Okay? So I want you to think about that. That was so good that somebody called in and said it was good, right? So here's what I want you thinking, guys. I don't want you thinking of 2018 as a slight modification over 2017. I want you thinking, how do I have the biggest freaking year I've ever had in my life? And that could mean significant growth. But can I come back in 2018 and do the exact same thing I did in 2017 and expect something different to happen? So where do I need to change? That's what we're going to talk about today. It could be a strategy thing. How many of you think I'm going to give you 4 areas and I want you to tell me what you think it is. How many of you think it's your knowledge right now of real estate? It's your knowledge is not strong enough and it's prohibiting you from doing more deals. Anybody think that? You just don't know enough about. Okay? All right. So thank you for being honest. Okay? Right? Yeah. When you're new, it is your knowledge, right? You don't know how to pivot. You don't know how to ask questions. You don't know how to do things. It's knowledge. How many of you think it's skill? You're losing deals because your skill is not strong enough. Okay? Ability to negotiate, ability to get and keep a person's attention, ability to get on the phones and articulate your value, skill, okay? How many people think it's your effort? Your desire is not where it needs to be. There's still another level of desire. So look around the room on that one. A lot of people said it's that one. See, here's the deal. You can fix that one, right? You commit. When you commit, right? How many of you think it's confidence? Anybody think it's confidence? So do you think confidence follows knowledge, skill, and desire? Confidence is a caboose to knowledge, skill, desire. If I make the number of calls I should be making every day, I'm going to have a higher level of confidence. If I'm willing to do the inconvenient things, I got more confidence, okay? So when I'm coaching a person, guess where I'm looking? Knowledge, skill, desire, confidence. Body, mind, heart, spirit. I'm looking at those 4 areas of a person, and I'm going, man, this guy could be really good, but his confidence is not where it needs to be. Why is his confidence not where it needs to be? He don't have enough knowledge. He don't have enough skill. He don't have enough effort, right? It's hard to talk yourself into being confident when you haven't paid the price to be good. Because you can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool you. Okay? So this is what we're talking about today. So 2 things. If we're drawing up our 2015, and then we're going to get into 5 things here at the end to have the biggest year ever. If I were to simplify how to have a biggest year ever, there's 2 things. If I had to make it real simple, you know what I'd say? Get better or do more. See how easy that is? Isn't that a good coaching session? We need to get better at what we currently do very well, or we need to do more of what we currently do that works. We need to get better or we need to do more. So how many of you are practicing, you really feel like you're practicing on a daily basis at getting better on things? Okay, now let's talk about that. So what if you and I were practicing every day, do we need Christy Wilson or Karen to come in here and say, hey, we need to practice every day, or could we just practice with each other?
Just practice with each other.
Right? You and I could just go back and forth and say, hey, what's the biggest objection you're facing? Let's talk through it. How do I put a deal together like this? This is complex. Okay, we can practice every single day. When we get these guys on the bus, we practice. All right, Andy, tell me about 3, something happened yesterday that you struggle with. Well, this person gave me this objection. Let's practice it. You need to be doing this every day. Why? It's working a muscle. Does the Olympians practice every day? Military practice every day? Top athletes practice every day? So do top real estate agents. Okay? So let's talk about what we could practice every day. 30 minutes a day on what? What skill development could we be talking about?
Negotiating.
Okay? Negotiating. How to meet people at events. How to follow up appropriately. What to say. How to put together a complex deal. How to bring, see, this is stuff that we could practice on every single day. And when we do, our confidence gets higher, okay? So we're going to practice right now 4 things, okay? And you're going to do it in 2s because I want to see how well you're retaining this information. If I were to call you up right now in front of the group and say, give me your explanation of services, and do it with some real conviction, does anybody feel confident that they could do it with some serious conviction? With no notes? Anybody? It's good. We're going to let you practice, okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pretend for just a second that I'm a stranger, but I come into town, and you have been recommended to me. So it's a referral, okay? I'm an old-fashioned face-to-face dude, right? And I believe in face-to-face business. So I roll into Nashville, and somebody said, hey, call this person. They're really good. And I say, I don't make any big decisions like this without talking to 3 people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to 3 real estate professionals before I make this decision. So pretend for the purposes of this exercise, you are one of those 3 people, okay? So I'm coming down here, and I'm going to pull up a desk, and I'm going to get here and go. Now, here's how this is going to work. We're going to start by building rapport. I want you to remember this, okay? And rapport is what? Yeah. Hey, let's just talk. We're just going to talk. And if you struggle with rapport, compliment them. Just compliment them. That always relaxes, right?
Where do you get your haircut?
I'm glad you asked that. See? I used to pay $20 a week to get my haircut. Can you believe that? And then I figured out I could do it on my own. Isn't that crazy? I did it for the therapy, not for the haircut. And it was worth more than 20. But so when I'm building rapport with people, I just compliment them. Christy, you look nice today. Love those boots that you got on, okay? Yeah. But my point is, here's the deal. I'm trying to find common ground. I mean those things. I'm trying to find common ground, man. I love it, okay? What'd I say to you? No, she got a haircut. Right? So this is not hard. I don't know why we complicate this. You don't have to go to school for 10 years to figure this out. We're just people, right? Just build rapport. So anytime I go into a new room, I talk to everybody. I say hi to everybody. Hey, what's up? How you doing? How's it going? You know what I mean? I just soften the mood with people because people are just so tense. Just relax. Okay? So what's going to happen is I'm going to come down, and Chris and I are going to get here and meet. And I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you, because I'm in a new city, right? I don't really know who you are. I don't know if, right? There's a little bit of tension here. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to sit with, at first we're just going to build rapport and talk. How's it going? I understand you have a 5-year-old daughter. You know what I mean? We're going to build rapport with each other and just talk. But there's going to come a moment in this talk where it's like, okay, small talk is over. Now, I'm expecting you to make your pitch. You know why I'm here. I told you that I'm coming down, and I've told you that we like to interview 3 different people before we make a big decision. Okay? So now is the perfect opportunity for you to share something with me. What are you going to share with me? Your explanation of services. Now, why is that? Because people do business with other people that believe the same things they do. You follow me? Now, I think a mistake that a lot of agents make is you go right into what you do. Well, let me tell you what we're going to do for you, right? I think to get agreement with each other, I think you need to start with what we believe. Okay? And if we're on the same page about this is why this is very critical. You have a set of beliefs and I have a set of beliefs. When you understand frames, or what's happening is these 2 frames are coming together and they're colliding. And maybe we don't agree on the same thing. Maybe I came down here because I want to negotiate down your fees, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows? You may decide during this talk that I'm not a good fit. You may decide I'm a psychopath, that you don't want to work with me, or I'm high maintenance, or high expectation, or whatever. You may say this is not going to be a good fit. This is why this is critical. You're not like a little puppet trying to perform for me. Everybody with me? If there's one thing I hate feeling like, it's like I'm a puppet trying to perform for a person and I'm trying to gain their approval. I have a set of beliefs in my life. I line up with other people who believe the same things I do. Everybody with me? So you're not performing for me because to be honest with you, you could take my business or leave it, right? Because there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. So don't feel like you got to supplicate. Don't feel like you got to put yourself in an inferior position. Let's just have a talk about what you believe, okay? Now, so if there's 6 steps of a good EOS before you practice, what are they? A great EOS has 6 parts to it. Anybody know what they are? First step is, tell me what? Tell me what you believe. And you may say, there's 3 things I believe. Like you've heard me say, I believe there's a difference between a house and a home, right? One is made up of sticks and bricks, and one is made up of memories. You may say, I believe every person deserves the right to have a professional represent them when they buy, sell, build, or finance real estate. One of my personal beliefs is I think your home should be your own personal oasis away from the stress and pressure of life. Okay? So I may sit down with you and say, there's really 3 things I believe, right? Because of that belief, here's what it is we do. Okay? Now, let's just break it down on what you think a good real estate agent does. What do you think a good real estate agent does? And you can copy these, by the way, if you don't have your own. And these are ones that we just compiled over the years working with real estate agents. What do you think a good real estate agent does? If you had to make it simple, like take something that's complicated and make it simple for me. What do you think a good agent does for their clients?
Listen.
Okay, because and you can add to that because a lot of people do not listen. I remember spending the whole day looking at properties that a real estate agent sent me, and they didn't listen to one thing I told them. You know how upsetting that was at the end of the day? To have taken a day off from work and wasted a full day looking at properties I would never buy because they didn't listen. It was just like, hey, here, go look at these. So I want you to kind of take it to the next level. We listen, but we really listen because I understand how important your time and energy is. You see what I mean? Like, don't just say I listen. I actively listen. Okay? I actively listen. I told my wife I was going to teach a class on active listening once, and you know what she said? You're not qualified to teach that class. She said, if anybody's going to teach it, I'm going to teach it. But can I sit here and look at you but not be listening to you? Okay? So I can be here but not be here. So when I say active listening, I actively listen because it's real important. Your time and energy is very critical here. So that's one thing we're going to do for you. What else are we going to do for you? There you go. See, I think a good agent really... See, when you deal with a person's... Like I would say it like this. I believe that when you deal with a person's money or their memories, then it's easy to get emotional. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to work hard to help you regulate your emotions. Okay? So we're going to eliminate that for you by helping you think rationally, take better thought. Because when you get emotional, how many people make bad decisions when they get emotional? I know I do. Okay? When I get emotional, say things I don't mean, right? So really, When I get emotional, I can make a bad decision here, and this could be a big bad decision. So one of the things a good agent does is says, hey, I know this could get emotional for you. We're going to try to regulate that emotion for you, right? Helping you think clearer, work through the context of this deal. Okay, what else could you do for me? And I'm the buyer, right?
Take the edge off what could be a stressful
Okay.
choice.
You know, this deal of buying a house ranks up there with one of the most stressful scenarios of a person's life. I don't know, I've heard an agent quantify this before, like it's the third most stressful thing a person does. Like there's, you know, public speaking and death and this. I mean, I don't know if I would put it in that context, but it is could be a very stressful scenario for a person. So we're going to take the edge off that. Do you do that with margaritas, or how do you do that?
All the above.
Hey, you're looking more attractive to me, man. So this get good. So I want you. One thing I think an agent does is take a very complex situation and make it simple. I know doing a real estate transaction can be incredibly complex. We make it simple for you. We have a 3-step process, a unique 3-step process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay? So that's what you do. How do you do it different than everybody else in Nashville? So let me ask you this question along those lines. Do you think the agents who have the deepest networks can get more done faster than agents that don't? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. This is the power of having a network. We're working on deals in Rutherford County right now that we're struggling to get through, Planning Commission. And I just said, let me just pick up the phone and call the mayor, because I know him and we're friends with each other. Not that he's going to pull a string for us, but he can give us counsel, right? I've been using Nashville architects, so they're coming up to Murfreesboro trying to get this deal through, and they keep getting pushback. And I said, let me just talk to him, and he can tell us what we're doing wrong. And in one phone call, he said, you're doing this wrong, reposition it, right? Without networks, you can't do that. So it's speed, network. So I want you to start correlating networks and speed, which is critical. We can pick up the phone. We can make a phone call. I've spent 20 years building a deep network of people so we can sell properties faster. You see what I'm saying? We can open doors. We got the knowledge that we need. Quantify these things, okay? All right, so think about how you do it different. Now, give me an example or proof of concept of someone you've done it for or a group of people you've done it for. How would you say that?
I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers.
Okay.
myself who-
Good. You have been paying attention. I like this. It's good.
Well,
Okay,
if they're
good.
a referral, you go back to who referred you.
Right. Hey,
Say, I
and
did this for
That's right.
XYZ, and here's how we made this work for them,
Mhm.
and here's how we're gonna make it work for you.
Good. Always, and the proof of concept is important because remember, I don't know you. I don't know who you've worked with. I don't know anybody in Nashville. I just came down here because somebody told me that you were good, right? So sometimes you get proof of concept to help someone just like you. I've been able to help 30 people, families this year in houses over my course of my career. I've been able to help 600 families, whatever. We routinely at our group help this many people. And then you ask me the question, which is what? This is where we get a little uncomfortable.
We'll ask what are your needs and your wants.
Okay?
And then with all that, it's gonna come the price range.
Okay? How do you ask me that question? So let's say you went through your EOS. Because we got to get good at this. If this sounds good to you, if I could do this for you, just like I've done it for all these other people, what would stop us from at least moving forward? Everybody with me? This is the ask. And this is the difference between an elevator pitch and an EOS. The EOS is hey, if I could do this for you, what would stop you from moving forward with me? Right? And I understand that you're going to go look at 2 other real estate agents, but if we got great business chemistry, and if this could work for you, why would you even spend the time going to see them? If it's that good, they may go, I don't need to see. I've seen enough to make a decision here. Right? So now it's time for you to practice with each other. So I'll pretend that's the scenario. One of you's coming down, one of you's giving your explanation of service. Now, if you have to read it off a sheet, that means you haven't mastered it well enough yet, right? Just think of the EOS as a set of beliefs. And if we had Tom Love in here who created the EOS concept, he would break it down to 3 steps. He would say statement of belief, example of somebody you've done it for, and a call to action. He would literally make it that simple. Statement of belief, here's what I believe to be true. Here's somebody I've done it for. If I could do it for you, what would stop us from moving forward? Okay? So now it's time to practice, right? How many of you talk on the phone every day? Great example. There's going to be opportunities all day, every day. to sneak that EOS in there to see if you believe the same thing. So I want you to look at that person beside you, and I want you to give them the best EOS you got. Okay? All right, take off. Don't be shy. All right, here's a pop quiz. Who is the EOS for? Is it for you, or is it for the potential prospect?
For me.
All right. So why is it for you?
To hear myself.
To hear yourself talk? All right. Now, let's think about selling. Like a lot of this originated with a talk that Simon Sinek gave called Start With Why. It's an 18-minute talk. Yeah, both. If you start with why, then maybe start with why.
Already a professional.
So you guys are feisty today. I like this. So, he wrote a book called Start With Why. There was an 18-minute TED Talk. Okay? And here's something that he said that of really where a lot of the EOS originated. He said, selling is not about taking what it is you have and giving it to any old person who wants it. Selling is really about going out into the marketplace and aligning yourself with other people who believe the same things you do. You see the difference? Early in your career, we will sell to anyone to make a commission, only to find out we didn't like working with them. You follow me? As you mature, where we all want to go, and we're going to kind of introduce person of interest today, where we all should aspire to get to is that we create demand in the market, and then we choose who we get to work with and who we don't. Everybody, right? Now, this is very contradictory to most real estate. Most of it is say, call, take anybody who will take it, right? And that's okay. Early on, we have to get our volume up. But as you begin to get more sophisticated in your sales skills and you begin to create demand, then what you really want to do is go out and partner with people who believe the same things you do. Now, think about the clients you have right now that you love working with. They value you. They appreciate you. There is a reciprocity exchange between you and them, right? They never demean you or belittle you. There is a genuine exchange of energy between you. You know why? Because they believe the same things you do. Everybody see that? Okay? So the EOS is for you to get clarity about what you believe and what you really do and who you do it for, right? And who you don't want to do it with in the future. It's really for you. Because technically you are interviewing them. See, just because I came down to the office today and sat in front of Chris does not mean that I would make a good client for you. See, when you lead with what you believe and I tell you what I believe or I give you some clues, you may go, man, I don't want to work with this guy. Right? Now, early on, we take them because we need the commission, right? And that's just part of the sales game. But as we begin to mature, we start going, you know what, this is not going to be a good fit. And I can typically tell. So if you have a great EOS, how fast should you be able to know? Have you heard us say, would you rather know in the first 15 seconds or chase somebody for 15 months?
Yes.
Okay? So if you say, I believe every person deserves the right to have a professional represent them, and they say, look, I think all you real estate agents are the same, don't matter, just a commodity to me, can you do the deal for me or not? I'm telling you, you and I don't believe the same things.
Right,
Now, here's the deal. If you choose to take me on after that, it's on you. Because I gave you every red light I could, and you said, let's go. Okay? So, and I did it because of the commission, I needed the money, and I had to do right. I would like to get you to a point where you don't have to do that. If somebody is going to treat you like that, then you say, look, this is not going to be a good fit. Okay? There's certain clues that I listen to in a person. Okay? I don't want to work with a person that feels like I have to call them every day to check on them.